We are Southeastern 16. I'm Chase Robinson. That's Chris Lee. We're back talking bold predictions, this time for the Kentucky Wildcats. We'll give you 3 of them as we continue this series of bold predictions for all 16 SEC football teams as we get ready for the 2024 season. So it should be an interesting year for the Kentucky Wildcats. So we'll give you 3 bold predictions right after we talk about Bet Online. They are the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, you can go over to the online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or one of the over 150 slots games. So head over to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. That is promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. Bet online, the game starts here. So the Kentucky Wildcats getting ready for 2024. New quarterback, some new faces all over the field, especially on offense. So looking at bold predictions, Chris, what's your first bold prediction for the Wildcats?
Well, I'm going to start my first bold prediction with a built-in excuse in case I get this wrong, because we always hedge our bets around here. But seriously, I am a little nervous because you look at some of the offenses Kentucky plays: Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas. Louisville's usually not too bad on offense. Auburn, Hugh Freeze, you never know. Florida, not bad. But despite that, I'm going to go bold and say Kentucky finishes top 5 in the SEC in total defense. Chase, and here's why. First of all, 8 home games. That helps a little bit. So having some of those tough offenses, some of them in your ballpark, that might make it a little easier. Second, and this is the bigger reason, star power and experience. You got Deion Walker up front, first-round candidate. You got J.J. Weaver, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Derek Jackson. That's one of the best linebacking cores in the league. You've got Maxwell Hairston, who's a first-team All-SEC corner potentially. You got DJ Waller transferring from Michigan, where he played a role on an elite defense a year ago. You got a couple of safeties who played some ball in the past for Kentucky. I like the experience. And Chase, listen to how old some of these guys are. Weaver, class of 2019. Octavius Oxendine, Trevon Rabaka, on the defensive line. Class of 2020. Derek Jackson, class of 2020. Just goes on and on and on. Zion Childress, safety, class of 2020. Ty Bryant, backup safety, class of 2019. I look at this team. They've got star power. They got a lot of guys at a lot of spots that played a lot of good ball, and they're old. And I feel like Mark Stoops, defensive-minded coach, kind of trust him with that. It's a bold prediction because of the schedule, but I think people are sleeping a little bit on Kentucky's defense.
Yep. I mean, depending on what you look at, they have 9 to 10 returning starters on defense, which is incredible. There's tons of experience, veteran guys. I like that bold prediction, Chris. That'll be interesting to follow there. So that's our first bold prediction. Here's mine. Barion Brown, wide receiver for the Wildcats. I think he's a guy to watch this year. Not only receiving, but on the in special teams as well, returning the ball. My bold prediction: Barion Brown has the most all-purpose yards in the SEC. So all-purpose yards, that includes his receiving, his rushing, and returning kicks as well. And so my bold prediction: Barion Brown, most all-purpose yards in the SEC.
Chase, I think he averaged, if I've got this correct, 36 yards a kickoff return. Returned 3 of his 16 for scores last year. I mean, that's every 5th kickoff. You're running back for a score. That's almost impossible. I like that prediction because I think he's got a chance.
Yeah, and it's always cool when you look at stats from last year, and you look at they'll say the longest run someone had, and the longest kick return he had was 100 yards, and so that just kind of shows right there what kind of runner he is. But Barion Brown, most all-purpose yards in the conference. So what you got, Chris, for our third bold prediction for the Kentucky Wildcats?
I'm going to go bold and say Kentucky wins 8 games. I'll hedge my bet a little bit. I'll allow them the bowl game and hope to God whoever in the university does bowl games does not give us Kentucky, Iowa again. Just please not that. But I think Kentucky could even hit 8 wins in the regular season. Now, look, Georgia's going to be – they're going to be a 20-point underdog maybe in that one. Probably a little less than that, maybe 17 to be safe. They're maybe going to be a double-digit underdog at Ole Miss. Probably going to be close to a double-digit underdog at Tennessee. Those are 3 tough ones off the bat. And Florida, they're probably going to be an underdog in the swamp. But I just think, I've said this for a while now, I think of the teams in the league that I feel people are sleeping on just a little bit. Kentucky and Oklahoma have been the 2 that keep coming up in my head. And again, I point back to number 1, Chase. I just think that defense, there's not a lot of teams in this league that have the combination of experience and talent they've got. So I'm going to go with that. Again, I'm nervous because of the schedule. And again, that does not reflect on how good of a team you are. But I feel like they could pull an upset somewhere here and maybe get to 8 without the 8 of a bowl game, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, they on the schedule, there is Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas, and that's just 4 of them. I mean, you got Vandy, Florida, Auburn in there as well, South Carolina as well, week 2. So, but again, the defense, I think, is what you got to go back to. And Brock Vandagriff, he's been in winning programs before, so I feel like he knows what it takes to win. Has he been the starter in those situations? No, but he knows what a winning program looks like. And so I think that'll help too, having his his experience in a winning locker room there as well. But yeah, you just got to go back to that defense and all the returners that they have. I think that can I think that's going to take this team to another level, to the level that we're talking about. Yeah, they could win 8 games, even in a tough schedule.
Yeah, I think our questions are on offense. New coordinator, new quarterback. Brock Vandagriff was a top 25 recruit out of high school. Just hasn't proven it yet. Doesn't mean that he won't this year. I do think they'll be better at quarterback this year than they were a year ago. But here's another little bullet point in their favor. We talked about continuity and experience. If I've got this right, what's in front of me, they brought back their entire defensive coaching staff. Wow. That's not something that's really common. I feel like between that experience, the terminology, the familiarity with the players and the talent, that's another thing that probably people aren't looking at that gives Kentucky a little bit of a leg up on everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. That'll be interesting to follow as well. So we got you covered all things SEC football, and we'll be covering the Kentucky Wildcats throughout the 2024 season. And those are our 3 bold predictions. And again, we'll be putting out these predictions for all 16 SEC football teams in conjunction with all of the other great content we put out on Southeastern 16, whether it's football, basketball, or baseball. We've got you covered. So hit the subscribe button here on the Southeastern 16 channel if you have not already. Follow us on Twitter at 16 Southeastern, and we will continue bringing you all this great content. If you want to sponsor our content, caroline.smith at southeastern14.com. And we can begin those conversations, and we will bring you all great coverage year-round when it comes to the SEC. That's Chris Lee. I'm Chase Robinson. We'll be back with more coverage of SEC sports here on Southeastern 16.